the future of youth noisemakers. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the future of youth. Welcome to that is in making for pretty much 1 year already. Welcome to build something that hopefully is going to bring a little bit better thing youth life. We are finally here after many, many days of meeting in online and stuff like that. And in the memorable words of somebody, let's see if you recognize it. World is mere stage. We are only, our men and women are merely players. Some are doing their exits, some are doing their entrances. Recognize the author. Shakespeare, as you like it. Brilliant. Well, yeah. Well, a big clap to Shakespeare. Well, we're here on a stage, right? We're here on a physical stage, but we're also here on a symbolic stage. Because if world is a stage, these 3 days we're going to spend together, it's going to be youth that is going to be a stage. And we are going to be players in this process, entering and exiting, playing our own role. And it's going to be the stage to set up, of course, a resolution. A resolution that should hopefully make our young people's lives a bit better. But today is, what day is today?
1st of March.
1st of March. What is 1st of March? Baba Marte, Transformișor, Mărțișor, Spring! Ah, that's the word I was looking for. Yes, it's the very first day of spring. It's not working? No, okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, it's the very first day of the spring. You know, the moment when things are coming back to life, when things are having their rebirth. And yes, in Romanian, according to the tradition, is the day of Mărțișor. Yeah? You have already received in your goodie bags some sort of white and red strings. And these are, according to the tradition, the strings that once upon a time used to be given mainly to women and girls, but also to men in some regions as well, in order to keep the evil away, and we need to be keeping a lot of evil away these days, right? And to offer this new rebirthing process to allow it to happen under a good omen. So I think this is probably the best day to start an event like Future of Youth, right? Because also here, when it comes to youth, we always feel like we have to struggle. And I mean, last year we are having something that was called the European Year of Youth, remember? Yeah? Do you still remember? Yeah? I mean, yeah, it was officially the European Year of Youth. It could have been, I mean, there are a lot of things that were happening, but there are a lot of things that were not necessarily happening, at least not happening as we were expecting, some of you. So probably also, and what I would like to do with this event is to remember that that year was not just a year that passed, but a year that should be leaving a legacy. A year that should be putting youth on the stage and to build together with you and our young people that little something that will change our lives in a little bit better. And well, I mean, we started with music, right? We started with music. You don't agree? No. Well, actually, we started with a bit of noise, to be fair. Yeah. But this is pretty much how things are working out also when it comes to youth, you know? If you don't make noise, people won't listen. And it's even more important, yes, thank you. And it's even more important not to make any kind of noise, because I really believe that what has been happening here, and thank you very much, Jean-Baptiste, for creating this magic moment for us, was actually, was actually to, not just to have some noise, but to have a little bit of magic to turn all our, I mean, everybody has its own tools, its own instruments, just like in youth work. Yeah? Some of us are youth workers, some of us are youth policymakers, and so on and so forth. But the important thing is to create something that in a magical way should become a rhythm, to become in synchronicity. And that's what we're trying to do right now, right here, to get in sync in order to send our message loud and in an easy way to be heard by as many decision makers as possible. Because we started with art, we're on a stage, on a theater stage, right here. We started with music, it's also a form of art. What we'd like to do is to actually, in terms of art, to build on the art of storytelling. When we're talking about the art of storytelling, the main key there is how to turn my story into our story. And with this resolution, this is what we'd like to do, to turn it into our story as youth, passionate aficionados from all over Europe. Are we okay? Are we on the same page? Yes? So are you ready to start? Yes. Okay, so it's clearly that we are here to make art, yeah? I mean, that was the whole point. And we are here to make art, and we are here to write everything in a language that everybody should understand. And it's important also for decision makers to understand what we're trying to say. It's important also to do it in a language that is easily translatable in concrete actions. And for that, we're going to have 3 days. But are you ready to start? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, then let's start. And how can we start but inviting on the stage, well, 2 people. Yes, please. Okay, that is the place. Look, you have some water, you know. It's, yeah. So can you please join us? And here on the stage with us, there are some people who are going to address you and the people who are watching us. Hello, everybody. Hello there. All over Europe, whoever is watching us right now. And what we're going to do, we are going to kindly ask them to say a few things from the perspective of their own, of course, point of view. Together with us, we have Bogdan Bârlă from the Romanian European Commission representation in Romania. You can give me some warm welcome. I could see that you can do that. We should be having, and can you please check if Alvaro has joined us from the European Youth Forum? And give him a big applause. And last but not least, of course, we have our boss. So do mind how you speak in front of her about us. The rock star of the Romanian National Agency, wow. Monica Calotă, aka Director. Wow. Yeah? Okay. So, Mr. Bârlă, if you would like to kindly say a few words why you are here and why do you think it's important to be here in this event?
Morning, everybody. Very impressive concert. Unfortunately, I cannot match that, so anything I will say will be far less interesting. But I will do my best. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm very happy to be present here today and share a few thoughts on behalf of the European Commission representation in Romania. I'm happy to see so many young people gathered together, and you're doing a very important work. In the next few days, you will debate and you will try to find solutions and proposals to make the European policies which concern you better and more effective. Andrei already reminded all of us, in case some of us forgot, that the last year was the European Year of Youth, and this event is branded by the organizers as a legacy of last year. I think we all remember that last year was also special in many negative aspects. We started it still wearing our masks and worrying about the pandemic, which hadn't ended. Then just less than a few months later, the unthinkable happened, and Russia invaded Ukraine and started a war at EU and Romania's border. It was also a year when we talked a lot about high inflation, about energy crisis, and about the perspectives of a possible economic recession. However, despite all of these negative aspects, which made 22 a year which I don't think any of us from this room, if we look in our whole lifetime, can find many years which are similar to 2022. However, from the point of view of the European Year of Youth, 2022 was a success, and you did it. It was a success because you got involved, because of your passion, and because you promoted and you defended the European values. And again, thank you for this, and you have our full appreciation and for what you did, for the way you got involved in a very, very difficult period. Also, 2022 was the year when the works of the Conference on the Future of Europe ended. I hope you remember the Conference on the Future of Europe as you remember the European Year of Youth. The Conference on the Future of Europe was an unprecedented exercise of consultation and of participative democracy, and you as young people had a central role in it. And I'm talking here about the citizens panels, which had in their composition 1/3 of the participants people under 25. So very, very young people overrepresented in these citizens panels. The citizens panels continue, even if the work of the Conference on the Future of Europe ended last year, and the European Commission has already started to use their input in shaping some of its legislative proposals, and the same rule apply. 1/3 of the members of the citizens panels are young people under 25. So this was an example of your involvement, of your generation involvement in the decision-making process. Also, as a follow-up of the Conference on the Future of Europe and related to youth, the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, made some very important statements during her State of the Union speech last September. She proposed that every activity of the European Union should take into consideration the interests of the next generation, should follow the principle of not doing any harm to the next generation, and even to create a better world for the next generation. And in this regard, she made a very brave proposal, and saying that this principle should be the principle of solidarity between generations should be included in the treaties which govern the European Union. You are told very often that you are the future, and well, this is a fact. You are the future, and for the European Union, this is not a slogan, but a very concrete fact. And the reason why you are becoming more and more involved in the decision-making process, and more programs and resources are dedicated for the youth. Erasmus+, Discovery EU, European Solidarity Corps, youth strategies are just a few names which are very familiar to you, and you will discuss about them in the next 3 days, and you will come with proposals and suggestions to make things better. I'm looking forward to receive and read your resolution, and I sincerely hope that your creative ideas which are generated today will become the future successful policies of tomorrow. Thank you again for your involvement. Thank you to the organizers for doing this, for having us here, and I wish you to have a great debate and discussion in the coming days.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for pointing out the challenges of the last year. And picking up from that, I mean, yes, one of the things that clearly we can see right now, that generally speaking on the societal level, we don't speak about only one crisis. Now it seems like crises are coming in waves. And we have to somehow understand how to find our way in this multidimensional crisis situation that keeps happening. And we have to be, I mean, crisis is, it can be a threat or it can be also an opportunity. So what I would like to kindly invite you is to see how we can take all these crises and turn it into opportunities for the youth sector and for the young people. Before moving on, and thank you very much also for being here and passing on the message also back to the institution and then to the commission through the pipeline. I would just like to kindly remind you that this morning you received an email that today there is a special section in the house space working space that we are using. And that one, and if not, you can also go on house space via the regular way. And to remember, okay, it's here in Let's Go, day 1. And you also have right now, whenever it's going to, of course, can I have that on the screen as well? Okay. And there you can also bring in some comments about the presentation. If you want to send something to the people there, you'll have your chance in here. Let's go. Day 1. Come on. Well, you see, of course, internet and technology is kind of failing us whenever we need it, but it is there. Trust me, it is there, so you can go there. And if there's something that inspired you during Mr. Bogdan Burzel's presentation, or you'd like to send a message, please feel free to put it there, and we'll take it and then send it further. Okay, now, you can see that there is a chair there, but it's not an empty chair. It's a virtual chair, because today with us, we also have Alvaro from the European Youth Forum, and well, I mean, we'd like to kindly thank the European Youth Forum for being with us, and to give his also welcome speech for us. Hi, Alvaro, do you hear us? All good there in Brussels?
Yes, all good here. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, go ahead. What do you have to say to the people who are here and the people who are watching us?
Yes, first of all, just a very brief question. I have a very short presentation, but I am not sure whether technically this is possible to show at the moment.
Well, sorry, I was in the middle of a logistical. Can you please repeat that?
Whether it would be possible to share a very short presentation, or
Yes,
I mean, otherwise I can
right?
also share this with you after.
Via Zoom. Yes, of course. Please go ahead.
Yeah? Alrighty, then.
Our tech savvy guys are ready for you.
Wonderful. I will just share it right now. There, you can see it, I imagine.
Yes, we do.
Wonderful. Okay, so thanks a lot, Andrei, and all the conference organizers for welcoming us. And yes, my name is Álvaro González Pérez, and I work at the European Youth Forum as Policy Officer on Funding and Civic Space. Sadly, I cannot be there at the moment, but I appreciate very much that you saved a seat for me. In fact, when I was looking at the 3 seats, I heard that you said in previous communication that there are only 2 speakers, and I was wondering whether you saved it for me. So much appreciated. I am not there personally, but we will have 2 board members from the European Youth Forum, Andreas Cristiano and Rares Boicu, if my very limited Romanian works well, who will be there from tomorrow onwards. So you will also be able to exchange with them over the next days. Just very briefly, the European Youth Forum is the platform of youth organizations in Europe, and we bring together national youth councils and international youth NGOs. And what I'm going to focus on is, in terms of EU funding, what are the opportunities for the youth sector in the European Union and Europe, especially looking at the next multi-annual financial framework, since also the resolution of the event is going to be focusing on that. This is the policy work of the European Youth Forum in recent years on funding. We also shared this with Andrea. I can also share this presentation later on. Maybe something relevant to note before moving forward is that all our policy work has on the topic has run from 2017 and 2020, essentially because that was also the period when the previous program was being reviewed. And this year we will have 2 new positions on Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps that we will also be happy to share with you in the future. So the topics that I'm going to be covering now are essentially based on these positions, but also on our most recent work on funding and in general on youth programs in Europe. The first topic that we will mention in terms of what are the opportunities for funding in Europe in the EU for Youth is might be also quite self-explanatory, but it's the strengthening of the EU youth programs, namely the Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps. And this should come firstly by the increase of the budget envelope for both of the programs, not just for the obvious reason that it needs to cover for the soaring inflation taking place in the current programming period, but also to keep the topic of youth high up in the agenda. Threshold for administration processes should also be simplified, because these, at the end of the day, also ensure the direct participation of young people themselves. And this is not just, this is usually linked to lack of capacity of young people, but in truth, this is not really the reality, but the fact that many youth organizations are volunteer driven and drive work that in other civil society organizations are usually driven by staff members, so it's more of a matter of time. And last but not least, information and communication about the program should be done in a more youth-friendly way. So we also make sure that it reaches out a broad spectrum of young people. Something also quite key that we mentioned before is the improving in other policy work is improving the governance of the EU youth programs. Mr. Barla mentioned before that youth is the future, with which we agree, but we also like to say that we are not just the future, we are the present.
Here, here.
Yes. Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Andre.
No, I was interrupting myself. Here, here, yes.
Here, here.
That's a key message that you cannot stress enough.
Yeah, in fact, international youth NGOs and national youth councils, which are the membership of the European Youth Forum, they are not just youth organizations beneficiaries of the programs, but they also represent a multitude of youth organizations at all levels that work on both programs, and they play a key role both in guaranteeing a smooth implementation of the programs and the co-creation of youth policies, and also in the mapping of the evolving needs of Erasmus Plus beneficiaries. And as such, the European Commission and national agencies of Erasmus Plus should involve representative youth organizations in advisory or observer capacities. We talk a lot about Erasmus Plus and ESC, something that I also appreciate from the work that you've been doing and what I've been seeing from Brussels and online, is that you have a focus also on other EU programs, and this is also something we are trying to put on the table, which is the prioritization of youth in all EU programs. And this can be done by several ways. First of all, and it might sound quite obvious, is the mainstreaming of youth participation and youth engagement as an actual priority topic in other EU programs. But this should not come alone. This should come hand in hand with ensuring that the grants and the funding for those programs are actually accessible for youth organizations. So I'm going to put a very brief example. The DEAR program actually has youth engagement as a priority topic, but the grants are of 1-2 million euros minimum. This is not accessible for the vast majority of youth organizations in Europe, simply because they are just too high. And last but not least, something that is also quite key and can also ensure that this that youth organization, that youth is marked as a priority and not just in a tokenistic exercise, is to ensuring that there's the inclusion of youth organizations as advisory bodies in those programs. And last but not least, something also quite key to underline is that the EU programs and EU youth programs, specifically Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps, can ensure and should ensure the support for non-EU European youth organizations and young people. And this is key also to support youth civil society in regions of Europe where struggles in terms of funding for civil society organizations are, and specifically for youth organizations, are very present. And I want to put a very specific example of this, all the regions in Europe, not to singling one out, but what it remains true is that Eastern Partnership countries particularly have had a lot of difficulties accessing Erasmus Plus grants. And there was, for instance, this grant on Key Action 2 for capacity building in the field of youth that in the past used to be accessible to all regions in Europe, and right now has a regional focus that makes it non-accessible for Eastern Partnership countries. Last but not least, ensuring that Erasmus Plus, ESC, and EU funding is accessible in non-EU European regions and regions in Europe also can ensure that opportunities and benefits for Erasmus Plus and ESC are provided for young people all over Europe and are not just enjoyed by a privileged few. Thank you for your attention. Again, I would love to be there and exchange with all of you during these days. I won't be able to do so, but if you would like to get in touch with me, you have my email address there.
Well, thank you very much, Alvaro. You can use also those tools if you want to warm up the atmosphere even more. Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you very much for the content. Just 2 points I would like to make. First of all, it's okay if you're not here with us physically, even if you are online, because I mean, it's important that you're online. And secondly, it's important just to remember, this is just the first step of a long process. Yes, we're here for 3 days, but hopefully this process is going to carry on for the next 3 years plus, at least 3 years, because I mean, what we aim to do is to see how from 2028 on, the youth programs can be done in a bit more coherent way. And this is coming the second point, and thank you very much for pointing out the importance of Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps. But it's important, and what we're going to try to do right now, right here, is to have a broader approach and a broader look on how some other European funding programs are supporting the so-called youth ecosystem. But a bit more about that in a few moments, because, well, and thank you very much once again, Alvaro, for being here with us. I know that you are going to keep an eye on what's happening in the platform as well, and you're going to contribute to the resolution, so thank you for that as well, for taking the time. Can we have also the screen, on the screen, the laptop, please? Thank you. Because we're going to go now to our rock star, as I mentioned, yes. But before that, I threaten you with this, and now the internet is back. So you have this on the house page. I mean, the agenda that probably you already knew, who is going to speak. And also a bit down here, okay, we can see that you already have the very first comments on what kind of inspiration or what kind of well, things have been noticed during the presentation. So do not hesitate to go online, go to Housepace and put your input there. More is going to come very soon, yeah? So be there, ready with the digital skills on your fingertips. Okay, now moving on. We had the representation of the European Commission in Romania. We have the European Youth Forum. So we went back and forth from Bucharest to Brussels. Now we're back to Bucharest. And Monica, you have the floor.
I cannot speak while sitting because I used to be a teacher, so I have to be in front of you. This is me. Good morning once again. My role is first of all to wish you welcome on behalf of the National Agency for Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps in Romania. So welcome in Romania. Thank you for being here with us at our conference with this very nice title, the future of youth. Of course, the future of youth did not start only during the European Year of Youth. It can start here. in our conference, but definitely it should continue as a process, like Andrei said. Why this conference? It was a long-term process of thinking and going around the concept inside our NA, initiated by Andrei, that the European Year of Youth cannot end, just end, pure and simple. Because we cannot speak about the youth sector only during 1 year. This is, I think it's the most in pain sector in the society. And I can give you only 2 examples. The youth sector is the most affected by unemployment in all the European countries. And also they are or they will be the most affected by the all the issues with the environment and climate changes challenges. So we cannot speak about this sector only during 1 year. So starting of building a very consolidated legacy process was needed. And this is why we organized this conference this year. And if I'm not wrong, our intention is to continue it from now on every year in order to go from the very first step to another step and to see what can we achieve through this stair towards, we will see towards what? European Year of Youth, yeah, it was a lot of noise. Thousands of events, and I'm proud to say that Romania was on the first place at the EU level. When we speak about the number of events organized during the European Year of Youth, thanks to our youth NGOs all over the country. And we thank them for this very nice achievement. Yeah, but it was a noise. Much noise, but nothing synchronized and far from a symphony. And one of the role of the conference today is to start a little bit to put the voices, your voices, the voices of the young people you represent together in a synergetic way. There were a lot of events. Young people said their needs, they presented their dreams, but without any follow-up. So I think that the role of the resolution you will build after these 3 conference days is to be drafting in such a way that the resolution should be, first of all, listened by the decision makers, and not only at European level, but also at national level in every country, and should be not only listened, but should be the basis of the public policies they will draft from now on. Because, in my opinion, a public policy shouldn't be only a collection of good intentions. Because if you take all the public policy, even the European public policies in the field of youth, there is a very nice collection everywhere of good intentions. But in very few places, you will find concrete action plans with the appropriate budget put on the measures. And I will give, I don't know if it's nice, but this is it, and this is true. An example of the inappropriateness of a budget put on a very generous public policy. The fact that for the European Solidarity Corps, the increase of the budget meant for this financial mechanism is far from being the same increase as for Erasmus+. So this is just an example where things could be made better. I will stop here. I am sorry that we couldn't offer you a nice spring day in Bucharest, but we hope that maybe tomorrow or after tomorrow a little bit of sun will be in Bucharest. But definitely, I think that the spring is in your souls and in your minds and will lead you towards the best resolution ever. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Monica. Yes. Thank you very much, Monica. Thank you very much, Mr. Burla. You may have a seat there if you want. Yes, you are most welcome. Because, actually, you know, the youth sector is that kind of sector in which you don't need sun outside to have sun inside. It's not the only sector, to be fair, but anyway, it's one of those sectors where you have a lot of sun inside of your heart. And it's good sometimes to have some rain, you know, because this brings also the resources to grow further. So now we're setting up the first steps, and as we are kind of, threatening you also in the prep online meeting. Once again, this event is not going to be an easy event. This process is not going to be an easy process. We didn't plan it, and we don't want to make it easy. Easy is easy. We want, of course, it does not necessarily has to be difficult for the sake of being difficult. It has to be complex for the sake of being effective. Well, thank you very much also for pointing out the budget for the European Solidarity Corps. I work there, okay? So that's one of our main pains. And also mentioning what has been happening during the European Year of Youth. Yes, I have to say that, of course, everybody has its own motivation for being here. And I'm really curious to find out which is yours. But one of the main reasons for which at least I was driven to organize an event like this was the fact that I have to say I was a bit frustrated with the way the European Year of Youth went on. In the sense that there was a lot of noise, as Monica was mentioning, but not only within the youth civil sector, but also in the youth, generally speaking, sector, especially, not only between the NGOs, but also in the youth authorities, and so on and so forth. So now we're trying to build this symphony, and we've seen that 100 people that never met before, they managed to get into sync and create a rhythm in 5 minutes. So I think we have what it takes in 3 days to build a resolution in an easy, understandable language for any kind of decision makers to finally understand what youth sector needs. Do you feel that you have that into you? Yes. Good. I do believe that too, because, this is the stage? No, that is the stage. In youth, the stage is upside down. Yeah, you are the main players. And from looking what in the application forms, we could see that most of you are youth workers. Can you raise your hands, those who are youth workers? Okay. So, those people who are there day after day in a direct contact with young people, understanding their pains and understanding how to turn them into gains, and to make their life a bit easier, and to have some activities that have meaningfulness. Yeah? Because I think we are all in the search of meaningfulness lately, especially when it comes to all these many crises that keeps coming, and it kind of derailing us from left to right. So we really need to find our sense. And hopefully this event is going to be that event when we're going to find again why we are here, and to understand how we can transmit this also to the other people who would be good to have them here as our allies. And for that, in the last day, we're going to meet also the decision makers, very important players in this. Okay, so we've seen who are the youth workers, but also there are people who are working in the decision-making process. Can you raise your hands, those who are not necessarily as a European parliamentarian or something like that, but also in a national agency, in a local authority, and so on and so forth? Can you raise your hands, those who are there? Okay, we have quite some, which is good. So we have the very first look around, and we can see who are those, with whom we have to create the bridges, right? Okay, we don't have that many, but it's important that we have those. We have also researchers among us. Can you raise your hands who are the researchers among us? Okay, brilliant. So these are the people who are looking around, trying to make sense of what these guys are saying, what those guys are saying, and to put it in a document that should make much more sense. Actually to have a youth policy to be based on some concrete data as well. So thank you very much, guys, for all the wonderful work that you are doing. And we are here to build a resolution, right? This afternoon, we are going to start doing that, and we are going to start collecting a lot of ideas, starting from your needs, going also to what we need from the other side, mainly from the resources like funding and so on and so forth. Tomorrow, there is going to be a full day where we are going to work in small working groups to feed the resolution. In the very last day, we are going to work for the whole day in order to see what has been happening in Recul is not going to stay in Recul. Recul is the name of this place, by the way, yeah? Just to be clear. We are not Las Vegas here, yeah? To be clear. We want to spread the message across as fast and as far and as wide as possible. So the last day is going to be about that, how to spread the message. Are we good? Okay, so we've seen that we have a lot of youth workers, we have a lot of people who are working in the national agencies, the decision-making bodies, and so on and so forth. We have researchers, but we have also some people that I would like to kindly invite here in front to see that are going to guide you through the process. First of all, there are going to be the 5 facilitators. Come on, and you can also, give them a warm welcome. So we have Carmen, Adina, Cosmin, Andrea. Everything that is going to go smooth, it's going smooth because of them. Yeah, just very clear, just to be clear. No pressure whatsoever. So you are going to see a lot of them from this afternoon on because they will take the charge. So thank you very much, guys, for being with us. And now it's time for you to clear out the stage because I would like also to kindly welcome here. Yes. Some other people, like the rapporteurs, those who are going to write down and make sure that everything they are doing and you are saying will make sense for the researchers that will be looking at, right? So can you please, the reporters, can you rise? Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit rapporteurs. I think there are some others also. Well, there are some others over there as well. They're a little bit shy. You know how it is with rapporteurs. Normally they're in the background doing a lot of wonderful work. And thank you very much. Thanks God that we have those. Then we're going to have also 2 very important ladies. Because Yolanda and Irina, are you here? Can you please? Yeah, come here. The camera cannot see you. Come and smile to the camera. You're on candid camera. Not that candid, but anyway, still on camera. So have a good look on them. These are going to be the people that will collect everything that is going to be put in the house space and in the documents to make sense and to put it in a Model UN resolution format, that is very easy, translatable in languages that could be also be spread around. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes, you may. Okay. And of course, I would like to kindly thank my colleague, the logistical organizers who are here and had to put up with me day and night sometimes. Well, thank you very much, guys. Can you please also come a little bit here in the front so they can see you? Okay? So it's their fault that this has been happening. And come here as well to smile at the camera. Camera cannot see you there. So clearly we have what it takes to make this thing happen. Now let's get things going. Thank you very much, guys. Enough of the spotlight. Let's go and do some good work. Okay, and yeah, I would like to. We have the screen from the laptop. Can we have the screen from the laptop, please? Can we have the screen from the laptop? Okay, brilliant. Because what we're going to do right now, we're going to discuss a bit about this. Probably you heard about it. It's that thing that, I mean, you feel that, I mean, everybody should know about, but everybody interprets it in its own way. We don't claim that this is the perfect ecosystem. You know what an ecosystem is, right? Is that thing that lives normal in real life, where you have all the whole sum of all the beings together, working together, and giving life to each other in order to survive, according to the biology at least, yeah? But very important, not only the beings in there, but also the relationship between the beings. So now we are going to talk about youth ecosystem being inspired from an organic process like the ecosystem. What we put up there are some things that should support the young person who, as you can see, it's at the very, very center of the process here, yes? Everything that we are doing here is for these guys, isn't it? Yeah? Disclaimer, we are going to talk about youth ecosystem from the point of view of youth sector, yeah? We are very much aware that there are some other sectors like education, employment, social affairs, and so on and so forth, that have a tremendous impact on the young people. But if we are going to approach them all, probably it's going to be a never-ending story, and we're going to have our mind spinning by the end of the event, and still be difficult to pinpoint how we should, what we should do, and what kind of message we should send to the decision makers. That's why, in order to make things simpler, but also effective, once again, it's a 5-year process, a year process, at least this is what we aim until 2028. Why 2028, by the way? Because youth strategy starts there. Okay, that's one point. Because, you know, in Europe, there is this so-called multi-annual framework that is changing every 7 years, and that is allocating resources for anything that is relevant in Europe. So from 2028 on, we are keen to see how we can engage these resources as effective as possible in order to support our youth ecosystem. That's why it's 2028. Yeah? It looks like it's a long stretch, but I mean, those who have been working in youth policy already know that if you are going to wait too much, you are going to see that the train has been left the station without you. So that's why it's important to jump on train now in order to make an impact now. It's, you know, it's like the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect, in order to make sense, it has to start somewhere to make effect later on. So now we're starting our butterfly effect. So in terms of youth sector, what we're going to look at are several components that hopefully will make sense for you as well. And once again, we don't claim it's perfect. We don't claim this is the ultimate construct. And that's why you have you here to give us also feedback if you feel that there is something missing. But why we needed to have a discussion from the very beginning, because we're going to discuss a lot about resources and funds and how EU is going to support that and so on and so forth. But that is going to be for later. But somehow I have the feeling that even when we're talking about that, we're just looking from a very narrow angle. And in order to understand how our narrow angle is creating an impact, we should look at the bigger picture. So this is our helicopter view. And it's important, I mean, if you are going to look here in the middle, probably this is something that has to do with the youth policy, okay? Because on one hand, we have the youth vision, which is basically everything that has to do with youth policies, yes? That has to do with legislation, strategies, work plans, and so on and so forth, and programs, coordination, and so on and so forth. So this is everything that has to do with how to implement a vision about young people and youth sector. Then on the bottom, we have the youth funding, the resources to support our policies. More about that in the next session. However, I mean, in order to reach the young people, we need, on one hand, structures like NGOs, authorities, public institutions, resource centers, councils, be it consultative or otherwise, but also to be looking also on more informal type of groups that gather young people. And it's important not just to have some people doing their activity there wherever they can, but in youth-friendly spaces. So that's why I need also infrastructure. Okay, thank you. On the right side, and it will show up in a minute, yes. On the right side, we have those who are, I mean, those things that are having something to do with young people directly. We have the youth workers, and we've seen there are a lot of those here. And you have the youth work per se, be it projects, activities, services, and so on and so forth. Why we're trying to put this thing together is because sometimes when we're looking at a program, for example, in Erasmus+, we have something that is called mobility of the youth workers. Yeah? It's very clear where that is going. Yeah? It's right there, the youth human resources. And by the way, we did not put youth workers, but youth human resources, because there are so many other support people behind the youth workers. Yeah? So it's good not to look only at the youth workers, but be it volunteer or unpaid, but also manager, facilitators, experts, policymakers, and so on and so forth. We really need those people together with us as well. Okay. And if we are going to look only from the narrow angle of the youth worker, it will be kind of difficult for us to see that, okay, maybe you can invest here, but if you don't have a very good, friendly youth space, well, much of the investment is going to go to waste, right? I can see Bianca is nodding her head strongly. So at least now, one supporter will have it here. And if we don't have very strong consultative structures, we don't have a channel to communicate which are the pains of these young people and to feed it into the youth vision to also fundament the youth funding. So as you can see, these are interconnected components. Does it make sense? Are we on the same page? Yeah? Okay. So these are interconnected components, and we wanted to show you this because sometimes all too often we're just looking at one or the other. And if we don't see the bigger picture and how the impact on, from my point of view, is going to do on the whole, then probably it's going to be very difficult also to make sense also for the youth funding structures to make sense for the whole. Remember, I mentioned a bit earlier that this event is also about making sense for us, and. We're going to discuss very much about the youth funding and how to support that, but I mean, for the time being, what I would like to kindly ask you right now is to go to the youth space place, to the day one, meaning here, again, and in a minute something will pop up there. Oh, brilliant. Is there anybody on house space from the admins? You wanna? Can you please unhide what is now on day 2 for the youth ecosystem a bit below? And in the meanwhile, we can see that we already have some feedback from the previous presentation. Somebody seems that enjoyed Monica's outfit. Congratulations, Monica. It seems like you are doing a good job in putting a friendly face for the people here. Okay, we have a picture. A lot of positive energy I can see that we have. The space, okay. European Youth. European Youth Forum, I think that's Jeunesse, or okay, showing us the way. So these are some of the things that we're having right now. Is there anybody who managed to unhide the whatever is on the future of youth? Because of course, like right now, I have to. Yes? Okay. So now if you are going to refresh this page, you are going to find a little bit of something below. No? It's not yet unhidden. Is it unhidden? Sorry? No, not that one. Anyway, in the meanwhile, just not to waste time, what I would like to kindly ask you is to form something that is called buzz groups. Yeah, meaning like 3 or 4 people just gather around, and in a minute there will be there on the screen with what kind of what is the thing that inspired you, and what is the thing that you have as a need in terms of any of the 5 components that has been presented before, mainly vision, structures, infrastructure, youth work, and what was the last one? Youth human resources, of course. Do we have it? Okay, wait, I think I can do it like this. So now you can see a little bit what's behind the admin thingy. Okay. Why cannot Okay. All right. Okay, so now you have it. Thank you. So please speak within your groups about these things. Youth infrastructure, youth structures, youth work, youth human resources, and you have youth vision there as well. And whenever you have something like needs in terms of vision and resources in terms of youth vision, and the same goes for each of them, please put them there. But first, let's have a 5-minute talk among yourselves, yes, in groups of 3 and 4 about this. And maybe you can identify one of the most relevant components for you, or one of those most challenging components for you. Because if you are a youth worker, I would strongly advise you not to talk about youth human resources. I know that's very easy, and you'll have plenty of time to do about that. But I think it's important to have feedback also on the others as well. So you have, right now, let's say 5 minutes to discuss among yourselves, and then we're going to see what will come up in on the screen. And I know it's rude to cut people off in the middle of their discussions. Yes, congratulations. Thank you very much for your hard work. You can applaud, actually. No, this is a very good exercise for us to pump up some blood into our brains, to oxygenate it. We dearly need it. Okay, well, thank you very much for this exercise. I know, I've seen, and David, he already knows that I'm the guy who talks a lot. And he already, yes, I talk too much. Yes, I'm sorry that I had to interrupt that, but you'll have the time and the chance to continue these conversations throughout the rest of the days. And I'm not talking only about these 3 days, right? The rest of our days also, we're going to go back from here. Now, let's see what came out. Here on the screen, we're going to play a little bit with some of the options of the house space. And you know, from those of you who are already there in the prep meeting, we have this intelligent artificial intelligence, that does some things. I'm going just to go very briefly through them. We're not going to use them all, but at least according to your perspective, when it comes to youth vision, if we're going to summarize what you put there, it's for the first time when I'm seeing this as well, yeah? Okay, just to be clear. It seems like, according to you, when it comes to youth vision, more young people involved in the decision-making process are needed. The youth does not know the needs of the young people living in the rural areas, and the policies for rural youth are looking at farming and agriculture. This is what came from you. If you have a different opinion and it's not there, let me tell you, it's also not there because you did not put there, so make sure that you put it there. Okay, so according to this group, these are the main needs in terms of summary for the youth vision. If we are going to put it, for example, in a word cloud, the keywords that keep coming up, I mean, I'm pretty sure that in every single one, youth is going to be there in the center. You know, it's after all the topic of the event. But also some other things like processes, friendly, national versus European, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's see. Okay, we've seen what's in terms of needs. Let's see what we have in terms of resources as well. Once again, this is for the first time. So we have national policies, integration of European policies in national policies, limited funding and insufficient, or maybe sometimes not the best way distributed. Youth programs should be a priority on reallocating budget from other resources. Youth budget should be steadily growing from one year to another. Not enough money and human resources working in youth organizations. And I have a feeling that here it's not only about that kind of resources to support volunteer human resources, right? But also have paid human resources to actually become professional and make a much better job for our young people. So this is in terms of vision, yeah? Are you okay with that? Is there anything that you feel that it's completely misplaced? Now it's the time. And we have a microphone as well. I can throw it to you if you want. Okay, then let's move on to see for the others what we have. And we have as follows. For the youth infrastructure, in terms of summary, more youth centers and more funding for youth centers are needed, clearly, and not only resources, but also to increase the quality, so to look on the quality. More youth programs in rural areas and more cooperation between youth organizations. I can see there is a very strong representation of the people working with rural areas. Congratulations. And it was about the time to start talking about them. And yes, and besides, I mean, because there are a lot of people, there are a lot of human resources that are not working only in agriculture and not only farmers. It's important to see them as citizens. Of course, at young people generally to see as citizens, but there in particular, I would dare say. So we need more youth workers in rural areas and more mobilities for vulnerable groups. I think that goes also for, general speaker, for young people. Yeah? Okay. And so these are the needs. Now let's have a look in terms of infrastructure and what kind of resources we may be having there. And apparently, second thing second, okay, whatever that means. And first things first, yeah. Funding for projects, youth participation opportunities, support from the government to the NGOs, and building youth centers, okay? I think, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a lot of discussion depending on what kind of country you're coming from and what kind of support you're having for the youth centers and stuff like that. But this is, hey, Europe, right? So it's unity and diversity, and we're also here to get inspiration one from the other. Promotion and collaboration of business, youth centers, and government. Okay, so this is your input. We will work with that, but not only with that. Now, if you've seen how are things with infrastructure, let's go about the needs of the youth structures. And here we go, here we go. And in terms of summary, this is it. So we have needs in terms of cooperation, capacity building, youth councils. And I think it's not enough to keep on stating also for the European institution. It's good that we have different kind of consultations, but we have to look also on the types of consultation we have and how we can have it as a relevant grassroots consultation to make sure that the voices are heard and not just out there in a public without any voice whatsoever, right? So yeah, to be in the same place as the decision maker and the administration, okay? 120% being why my youth council have done it so well. Good for you. The need for more cooperation between structures that offer services to young people. Excellent. And 120% I think it should be also on the resources that we are going to tackle right now. And in terms of resources for youth structures, we have this. European Youth Forum, Advisory Council on Youth, on Council of Europe, funding, training for youth worker, okay? trainings, I guess, for youth workers, and many NGO increasing. So I can see here there is a lot about capacity building, basically. But somehow I have the feeling that there is an intertwined and a mix between the resources and the needs, which is fine. It's okay. I think that Yolanda and Irina will be more than happy to pick up your feedback and to insert it in the resolution as well. Because, yeah, it might looks like we're just talking about things, but let me tell you one thing for sure. The resolution building started already with your inputs now, okay? And every single time you're going to input something in house space, we are going to take it out there and try to put it, hopefully in a meaningful way that will make sense for you and for the decision makers in the resolution. Okay, moving on to... I can see there is a lot of needs for structures. Youth work, so in terms of activities, services, and so on and so forth. So what are the needs of the youth work? A structure to coordinate the work of multiple youth workers, youth societies. Okay, so some sort of a national youth worker center of some sort. NGO, and to create the impact that we are all looking for, we need a structure to coordinate the work, okay, I can see, to channel our energy and increase the impact that can be done on certain themes. I think this is brilliant that we're having right now, and it is clearly one of the main needs that probably will come up also in this afternoon. We're going to discuss about the needs as well, because we have a lot of youth personnel with a lot of needs, but clearly we need to have a way to coordinate all this activity, right? In order to make sure that, again, it makes sense for us as well, but for the other people, for the young people that we are working with. And resources for youth work. We have government support, good for you if you have it. Oh, I didn't say that. The Romanian government, I did not say that. Well, I did. Internship training for implementation of the projects, funding supporting EU and non-EU European youth organization by involving their people into our vision. European Youth Village Program. Okay. So come back to the rural areas, which is brilliant. Okay, so these are the resources, and it's clearly that also in terms of resources, it will be very good to also to look how to match all these resources that you are here, and how to put all these needs in a way that could support the structure, infrastructure, and the funding that we're not tackling yet, because we're going to have the second session entirely for that. And last but not least, youth human resources. Oh, sorry, those are about the projects. See, I mixed them up, sorry. So in terms of human resources, I don't know, I have the feeling that they are kind of intertwined as well. More funds to compete the work done by volunteers and to compensate the work done by volunteers and youth workers. Yes, so that they could focus more on youth work. Yes, I mean, you cannot be a youth worker forever doing volunteering activities, right? I mean, of course, you can be brilliant for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 10 years, but maybe your family comes in the first after some time. So if you don't have the resources to actually value and put that experience to further use, then, well, I mean, it's brilliant, but well, thank you, bye-bye, right? So clearly we need these kind of resources to have paid youth workers. Financial support for paid youth workers, more youth workers training, please, and give more expert support for the ones that are the start on the first level. And in terms of resources, and with that I'm going to conclude the presentation of your work. Collaborative project development. Plain, whatever that means, we're going to find out more in the following days. So this is the results of your work. Of course, please feel free to go through HowSpace and to see also through the comments, because I'm pretty sure that in the comments there are going to be some other important issues that may be worth mentioning. Yes, please?
I have a question. Will you use...
Yes, please. Can you use also the microphone, because we'd like also the people who are watching us to hear you. Nope. Okay. Can we turn on this microphone? The yellow one, yes. Number 5.
and 5 and 4 and...
Hello.
Yes.
So I hope you won't really use this artificial intelligence summaries because most of them were totally wrong. Only the one about, I think, fundings for infrastructure was really good, but all the other were a bit bullshit, I would say. So really, please keep it like
But what do you mean there?
skeptical,
Yeah, what do you
to
mean? Yeah,
summaries.
of course, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the artificial intelligence is
Yes.
definitely not more intelligent than us, okay, just to be clear.
Yes. Yeah, but I also wanted to
yeah.
make it clear that you won't use those summaries as
No,
final.
no. Those
Thank
are
you.
for the for strictly for the sake of this presentation, because also Yolanda and Irina are going to look through your comments as well. And I understand what you're saying. However, I'm just going to say this over and over again. I think this is a very good exercise, also in terms of also having a grasp of what's happening there, but also on understanding that what is written is written. And if it's not written, it's not going to be passed by further on. So I understand, and clearly there are many, many angles. So I mean, we're not going to use only artificial intelligence, so just to be clear on that. Only just to pinpoint some of the key messages that came out there, but you are the one that will offer the relevant and important messages to be put in the resolution, okay? Are we good? Are we still friends? Yeah? Any other comments about this exercise or about the content of the exercise? Well, she was very close, but I can still throw the microphone, yeah? Yes, Mihai?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment further for what was done. I think
Can you come a bit so the camera
it's the
can...
best example that maybe we have something in mind or we know something, but if we don't put it on the wall or if we don't spread it out, or we don't push it, it won't be at the end. So I think the artificial intelligence is showing only what we put there. So this is the perfect mirror that if we want actually to have something to happen, we have to put it there and to raise the voice.
Yeah. I heard some no's, and that's good. I can see the debate is already starting. So thank you very much, Mihai. Yes, you can give some applauses to Mihai as well for picking up this. Well, I mean, I heard some no's, which is good. I mean, this is where the debate starts, and this is where your role is. And we are going to have several days and several years, actually, to come across. And just to be clear, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next is that we're going to take a break. I think we deserve it in a few minutes, right? To have some coffee and some refreshments. But before that, of course, I still have to say my little poetry at the end of the session. We're going to go in the second session discussing very much about funds and how the funds are supporting all this process. Then we are going to go in working groups and discuss on certain topics that will be introduced at that moment. I'm not going to confuse you right now with all the topics. Yeah, you already have some of them in the house space agenda. But anyway, we are going to have our great facilitators to lead you through the process. What is very important is, first of all, that by Friday morning we should have a draft resolution in order to present it to the decision makers. No pressure. What I'd like to stress is that actually this resolution, it's not set in stone. So even if Friday evening we're going to have a text, probably, as I was mentioning, the process is just starting. So we're going to have a long discussion on how we're going to refine this risk resolution and how we're going to go with it as a flag towards the decision makers or some other important stakeholders, okay? So our main focus is going to go, our main focus basically is going to be on building up the resolution, but basically your main focus, and I would like to stress that, don't stress too much on the resolution and how it's going to look like. Stress a little bit more on sharing your experiences. That's our job to take it and munch it and put it in a form that should be resembling the resolution. Are you okay? Good. Excellent. Because we started with rhythm, I would like also to finish with the rhythm before enjoying the coffee break and then the funding session that Carmen over there is more than looking forward to facilitate. and also the people that will present are already here. But before going there, I would just like to kindly ask you to do this. You know, clap, clap, and you have also that wooden thing. You can do it like this. I'm going to do it like this because, well, okay. So shall we give it a try? And 3, and 2, and 1. And if you want, I mean, you can use also those tools. Yes? Okay? So, clap, clap. Don't rush the rhythm. And how it goes? Way well, youth, you. Way well, youth, you. Can I have some support now? And 3. And you. Okay, thank you very much. Watch out, decision maker out there in Europe, because we're coming. And youth, let's speak youth. Now enjoy the coffee break and be back in 30 minutes. Thank you very much.